We're still looking at the World Economic Forum Africa meeting. Of course, we know it's all about forging inclusive growth and creating jobs. And so this part of the conversation is going to actually be looking at the views of the youth. How much can they contribute to help ensure that, of course, this inclusive growth that we're talking about is actually achieved, and of course, job creation. I'm being joined on the program by the founder and team leader, Pt.3. It's a network of young professional entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs in Africa, Olaleko Badmus, and a job applicant, Simbo Odunubi. Good morning, and thank you for coming in this morning. Well, let's talk about us now. We know that economic activity in any country is driven, over the long term by size of its labor force and its productivity. Now, the youths make up more than half of the population in Nigeria. Have they contributed to this kind of growth? Lekon, let me start with you.
Yeah, to a very large extent, I would say the youth has, one way or the other, contributed their little quota. But I think there's a lot that still needs to be done. There is no enabling environment enough for them to explore or to actualize their ideas. So far, so good. The youths, we have few that have been doing a lot of things, have been able to meet one or two, and I think to a very large extent they've done well, but I think there's still more that needs to be done.
Now, Simbo, you're a job applicant, seeker, and you're faced with this challenge every day of trying to find what suits what you know. Now, looking at the kind of policies that we have labor market policies actually focused on building human capital? Let's look at that first of all. Then we'll come to the part where, people getting the right training for what the market needs.
Let me start by saying one of the major problems we have in Nigeria is that most of the time, let me use myself as an example, I study law, and then I'm trying to branch into the regulatory and compliance industry. And maybe I go for a test, and I'm telling you I want to be a lawyer, and you ask me GMAT questions. And that is amazing to me, because I always ask myself, what am I coming to do in your firm? I think that's one of the major problems we have in Nigeria. You don't test people based on their abilities and based on what they are required to do for the intending firm, or maybe my anticipated post. So, and that's very different. I had the opportunity to study for a postgraduate abroad, and when I got there, I was exposed. I thought I was a smart person before I traveled out, but when I got there, I saw that things are done differently. If you're applying for a job, before you don't really do an aptitude test. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Everyone has a right to choose the style of cutting down those they want or those they don't want. But you are invited and you are given role plays. You are put in teams. They see the way you interact with other people, and then they ask you questions based on what they want you to come and do for them. And I think that's an area the labor market is failing when it comes to building the capital of those in employment. Some people are very good with maths, but when you say you are looking for a PR officer, as an example, and the first thing you are looking for should be diction, written skills, oral skills, but then you just place everybody on the same level. Okay, for all of you come in, study GMAT 2013.
Okay, so which means that, it also means that for those adverts that come out for such positions, you're not, for instance, qualified for it. So why do you go to apply for it?
You can't blame anyone. Almost every youth in Nigeria is looking for something to do. That's why you see someone that studied Yoruba working as a teller in a bank, or a doctor working in a customer care service, because everyone needs to live. You need to feed. So you don't do things because Nigeria doesn't really create an opportunity to do what you love to do. You work based on the fact that you need to earn a living, you need to take care of your family, you have responsibilities you need to live up to.
Now, it's not a Nigerian thing now.
Yeah.
I think it's something, because this talk has been going on for a while. It's education based. Does the education system prepare you for whatever it is that you're coming out to meet in the job market? For instance, you studied law, but then apart from studying law, there also could have been courses that would have been taught to you while you were in school to prepare you for the job market. And so, for instance, when you had gone for that interview, it didn't require your law degree, but if you had a prerequisite skill that could fit into that job description, you probably would have gotten the job. So does your education system actually have that kind of provision for us?
Not really. Maybe now things are getting better because of the introduction of like private universities, and then they teach you outside the curriculum. But most schools, you know, you go to school and you are taught to read and cram just to pass your exams. And I always tell people,
I beg to differ.
Not everyone.
Nobody teaches you to read.
Not everyone. I'm talking from experience. You know, you can't question your lecturer, not question or trying to challenge. But if you think something can be done another way around, when I went for my masters, a professor told me, I knew the country you were from. Immediately I saw your coursework because I didn't argue with the point of view I was giving, and that's one of the major problems with the educational systems in Nigeria. You don't teach your students to think out of the box. You know, there's no analytical skills. You are taught to, oh, Chinua Achebe wrote a book, and then you just agree hook, line, sinker with everything that was written. There's a place of, oh, if this book was written another way, or if the story ended somewhere else, and these are things that help you on a job. You need to learn to be analytical in thinking. You don't take in everything you are given. There's a place for developing yourself, and that comes to me as a youth myself. But some people need someone to trigger them. You know, when I was in school, we had skills class. When I went for my masters, I had classes on presentation and speaking. I had classes on how to behave when I go for an interview, questions to ask. But most schools, I schooled in Nigeria, I did my LLB, I did my BLA, I wasn't taught any of that. I'm not blaming or downplaying the Nigerian educational system, not at all, because we're doing a lot, and I'll admit that, but a lot more can be done.
So in terms of now saying a lot more can be done, Lekon, let's bring you in on this one. A lot more can be done. What kind of, what areas? Because so many summits, the last Nigeria Economic Summit, you know, focused on education, and so many things were highlighted there. So in terms of beginning to have a responsive policy, what kind of agenda should begin to be set now? Because you see, at the end of the day, you're an entrepreneur, and for Simbo, coming out of school, she should have had the capability of also being an entrepreneur, being an employer of labor, not looking for work.
Yeah, I think it starts with the mindset. When you're in school, what exactly do you want to do? I went to school, and right from my Pt.3 in school, I realized that this is not what I want to do. But you have to go through school, you have to learn. I didn't go to school because I want to have the first class. I didn't go to school because I want to beat everybody in the class. I went to school because I want to pass through it, know what I want to study, and work through it in my life processes. And basically, from my very young age, I've started doing one or two things that I know I want to do, like going outside to talking to people, like picking societal issues and developing it into a business model that I think it can work for that particular community. And basically, I think the one of the problem of Nigerian youth is that they rely so much on what the university or the school wants to give them. They most times don't think outside the box or even break the box. They want to continue to remain, okay, this is what I came to learn, and immediately I go outside of the four walls of the school, I had to get something doing and all of that. I think Nigeria, it's a very, very big country with so many potentials. There are a lot of things that we need that we have not even attempted. There's agriculture, there's human capacity building, capital development. There are lots of incubation centers in Nigeria of today, where I think one can easily walk up to and do one or two things with them, get financial assistance, develop what you want to do, be your own boss, and work. I started what I'm doing for far back 8 years ago, and right now I'm not just thinking about Nigeria, I'm thinking about Africa. I'm thinking about how we can expand businesses, how we can identify business opportunities in other African countries where we can work together, where we can create synergy between African young people, where we can, you know, say, okay, I'm going to Ethiopia today. I know a clique of African young people where I can easily meet and speak to them and say, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm into photography, I'm into agriculture. What is obtainable in your country that I can come and do? This is what I do in Nigeria. You understand? I think we need to start looking beyond what we learn in school, looking beyond the so-called academic teachings.
Okay.